Hello and welcome to Better Body Movement. This class is designed to walk you through some of the most commonly corrupted movement patterns and help you to fix those in order to start feeling well throughout the day. So what we'll do is we're going to start with some self-myofascial release or self-massage in order to loosen the tight muscles in your body. Then we're going to get into a workout routine that actually will teach you how to completely change the way that you move in order to feel well. I'm excited that you've joined us. Please like this video or subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, you're going to get notifications of when we do go live, as well as any new videos that we post. So you do those right now, that way we make sure we have them done. We'll see you in a little bit. Typically, runners who experience shin splints have overused the stabilizing muscles of the ankle as well as the dorsiflexion of the foot. The space between the tibia and the fibula has a sheath wrapped around it called the periosteum. Is rubbed raw, creating inflammation and tension on the shin bone. The muscles lining the anterior portion of the shin is the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Sitting on a chair in a figure 4 position, locate the edge of the tibia near the thick muscle tissue. To find the tissue we're working on, push the fingers to the edge of the tibia and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work all the way from the top to the bottom of the shin. If your fingers have a hard time tolerating the pressure, you can utilize a lacrosse ball. Holding the lacrosse ball cupped in your hand, press into the muscle tissue directly beside the tibia, working your way all the way from the top of the tibia down towards the ankle. Remember to use strong pressure directly near the bone. Continue the same kind of work on the inside portion of the tibia. Here, you can use pressure from your palm pressing into the muscle tissue, while your other hand cups the ball, allowing you to create the up and down motion. Another way to work the anterior tibialis is by sitting sideways on a foam roller and leaning forward, putting pressure down into the foam roller. Obviously, this takes some balance and coordination in order to keep the pressure on the foam roller. In this position, flex the foot and relax, making sure you squeeze the anterior tibialis. Once complete with the foam roller, in the same position, utilize the lacrosse ball, creating a more pinpointed pressure on the muscle. Work your way up and down the muscle tissue right beside the shin. Typically, runners who experience shin splints have overused the stabilizing muscles of the ankle as well as the dorsiflexion of the foot. The space between the tibia and the fibula has a sheath wrapped around it called the periosteum. This sheath oftentimes is rubbed raw, creating inflammation and tension on the shin bone. The muscles lining the anterior portion of the shin is the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Sitting on a chair in a figure 4 position, locate the edge of the tibia near the thick muscle tissue. To find the tissue we're working on, push the fingers to the edge of the tibia and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work all the way from the top to the bottom of the shin. If your fingers have a hard time tolerating the pressure, you can utilize a lacrosse ball. Holding the lacrosse ball cupped in your hand, press into the muscle tissue directly beside the tibia, working your way all the way from the top of the tibia down towards the ankle. Remember to use strong pressure directly near the bone. Continue the same kind of work on the inside portion of the tibia. Here, you can use pressure from your palm pressing into the muscle tissue, while your other hand cups the ball, allowing you to create the up and down motion. Another way to work the anterior tibialis is by sitting sideways on a foam roller and leaning forward, putting pressure down into the foam roller. Obviously, this takes some balance and coordination in order to keep the pressure on the foam roller. In this position, flex the foot and relax, making sure you squeeze the anterior tibialis. Once complete with the foam roller, in the same position, utilize the lacrosse ball, creating a more pinpointed pressure on the muscle. Work your way up and down the muscle tissue right beside the shin. Typically, runners who experience shin splints have overused the stabilizing muscles of the ankle as well as the dorsiflexion of the foot. The space between the tibia and the fibula has a sheath wrapped around it called the periosteum. This sheath oftentimes is rubbed raw, creating inflammation and tension on the shin bone. The muscles lining the anterior portion of the shin is the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Sitting on a chair in a figure 4 position, locate the edge of the tibia near the thick muscle tissue. To find the tissue we're working on, push the fingers to the edge of the tibia and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work all the way from the top to the bottom of the shin. If your fingers have a hard time tolerating the pressure, you can utilize a lacrosse ball. Holding the lacrosse ball cupped in your hand, press into the muscle tissue directly beside the tibia, working your way all the way from the top of the tibia down towards the ankle. Remember to use strong pressure directly near the bone. Continue.
Okay, good morning. We are going to get started on our core day, but first we'll go through our I dedicates. Praying for Lori and her mom, who's doing dialysis 3 times a week. Ethan with his stage 4 cancer for his liver and bile ducts. And then my friend's wife, who was diagnosed with breast cancer, and their process of trying to treat that naturally. Pretty incredible. Sky Toyne, if you guys didn't know, last week they actually hosted a donor transplant whole type thing, trying to look for both a transplant prospect for her, but also just a blood fundraiser, a blood raiser, not a fundraiser, a blood raiser, where they just do different stuff there. So I think they had a pretty good turnout. I don't know 100% on that, but they hosted that at the Agape Church last week. So keep praying for them. I know both Sky and Speed, her brother, are being prepped for the bone marrow transplant process. So they basically have to harvest the stem cells from her brother and then take those and spin them, react them, whatever they need to do to make them so they'll be more effective going to Sky. So a lot that needs to go on there. Be praying for Lois. She's not going to be with us for the next couple of weeks, I think, for sure. Maybe the whole month of February, being down with Aaron. So Aaron's surgery is today, Monday, the 31st. That's right, in January. So the surgery's today, so be praying for Aaron. It's supposed to be just an outpatient, get it done, send her home. My guess is she's going to be in a boot for a while. And there's just other, I know, emotional things that are burdening Lois a lot too. So just be praying for her through that and being in their home, taking care of Aaron during this time. So praying for Peggy and then Carol with her knee surgery coming up on Thursday is the 3rd, I think. Thursday the 3rd. Yeah, tomorrow's the 1st. So praying for you, Carol, through that. And then Barb and Tom, praying for them as well. So that's our list today. If you guys ever have any dedicates, people you want to put on our prayer board to be praying for, just let me know so I can get them put up on our board as well. Our verse of the day: I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Peace. Have peace, regardless of what's going on, because Jesus already won. It's the way I take that one. All right, here we go. Go ahead and get set up on the ground. 15 seconds, we'll get taken off here
pelvic tilt
and get started on our workout.
Three,
here we go.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
Okay, remember, with our pelvic tilts, we want to squeeze the pelvic floor nice and tight. So that's a Kegel, or like I say, imagine you're holding in a fart. Try not to let it go. Okay, that's going to contract those pelvic floor muscles, create a little more tension on that base when we compress that core. And again, when we compress a core, we're not thinking navel to spine. A lot of people do that where they kind of suck in the belly. We're not sucking in to do this. We're actually creating a compressive force that I could handle something maybe even dropping on my stomach. So think there was a ball right above your stomach, and you're going to drop that ball onto your stomach. You want to be holding that core tight enough that it wouldn't hurt, right? It's not going to drop into your stomach, but it would rather bounce right off of your stomach. That's core compression. That's what we want to be training, okay?
2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
And good morning, Gail. Didn't miss you.
3,
See you down there.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Here we go. Good tilt with knee fall out. So compress that core. So again, Kegel, compress that pelvic floor super, super tight. Then squeeze that core. And again, it's like you're flattening your back on the floor. So imagine you have a belt underneath the small of your back. You want to press that back down into the floor so you couldn't pull that belt out from underneath your back. Okay? Then once you have that locked in place, the knee goes out. Don't let your hips roll on the ground trying to get your knee to the floor. Okay? It's not about how far your knee goes, it's about how tight you keep your core, right? So that the hips stay locked on the floor as the knee goes out, and then it comes back up. Okay? Then you switch sides and do the other. But again, our only focus today is compressing that core so hard that the pelvic bowl doesn't shift or shake on the floor. Okay?
3,
we don't want to
2,
spill the cat's milk.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Okay, tilt with adduction. Go ahead and grab a foam roller or a pillow, whatever you have at home to make this work. Make sure we go through this process.
1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Very distinct. Core compressed, tight, tight, tight. Squeeze the knees, release the knees, then release the core. Again, I don't want everything to just shut off all at once. I want you to actually be very diligent to think, let the knees fall apart, then let the core go, okay? So core tight, knees tight, release the knees, keep the core, release the core. Very, very distinct. And again, pin that belt to the ground. So when you start that pelvic tilt, when you squeeze really hard, that belt should be pinned to the floor. You shouldn't create any sort of movement there as you go. Right, core compressed, tight, tight, tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Good. Okay, knee toward chest.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Very good. Okay, remember, as you go, compress that core, squeeze nice and tight. And you're just marching those feet, right? So bring one knee up, set it back down, lift the other knee. Again, we don't want the hips to do this shift, or what I call the Rubik's Cube, right? Where one hip kind of rolls up and forward, and the other one goes. Again, those hips shouldn't be shaking on the floor. Compress, 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 then create the movement.
That's halfway.
That we're looking for. Very good. All the way through, ladies. Doing your absolute best. Black screen, but I can hear you. Good morning, Chris. Gil, is it the same for you? You got a black screen? When we start the next exercise, you guys keep going through it. I'll start a new screen share, so the timer, all the music will shut off.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, get ready for the bridge. You guys keep working through it because the screen will go black and you probably won't hear anything, but I'll just do a new one.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, good tight squeezes.
That's halfway.
Good tight, tight squeeze. Is that better, ladies? Tight, tight squeeze. Awesome. Very good. Again, squeeze firm, 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 all the way through. Okay, when you bridge up, you should be pinching your butt cheeks tight.
1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Awesome. Okay, get ready for shoulder drops. Again, set the shoulders down and back, nice and hard. Compress that core. Squeeze nice and tight.
3, 2, 1. Shoulder drop.
Okay, again, this one's pretty easy to let that core go while you try to move those shoulders. So remember, you're still tilting to keep that core nice and tight. What we want is actual movement through just the shoulder. We don't want to be arching the back, trying to get more movement, thinking this is range of motion, right? We arch our back, but our shoulder doesn't move more. We're not increasing range of motion at all in your shoulder. You're actually just creating instability in your low back, okay? So again, compress that core, then try to get through that overhead movement. Again, only go as far as you can. If you get acute pain, right, pull the shoulder back, down and back, returning towards the ceiling. You don't have to touch the floor on this one. It's okay. Just get the range of motion that you're able to. Core tight, core tight, core tight.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for dead bug.
Awesome. Get ready for the dead bugs. Remember, squeeze that core super tight. And then as you extend opposites, make sure you're only extending as far as your core can tolerate.
Dead bug.
Okay? So think about that leg, right? As far as you extend that leg, the core should stay tight. You should keep the belt pinned to the floor through this whole movement. And those who are new at this, it's a very difficult exercise, especially just trying to get the whole extend opposites down. Right? But we're always returning to what we call this tabletop with the shins. Right? I want you to think you should be able to balance a ball on your shins. It shouldn't fall away from you. Press tight, tight, tight. Okay, doing your absolute best. Very good, ladies. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Firm, firm, firm. Okay, if you take any breaks, make sure you get back into it. Squeeze that core really tight. Flatten that back on the floor.
3,
Press hard, hard,
2,
hard, hard.
1. Long rest.
Awesome. Long rest. Go ahead and grab a drink. Maybe just hang out on the floor. Take your cat nap. And we'll get going on round 2 here in a bit. Awesome. So hopefully you guys all had a good weekend. So get this, Chris, you wouldn't believe it. Last night, Gabby started up on a fever. So here I thought we were on the downward end of this thing, but it looks like it might run through the whole family here. Let's see.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt.
Here we go. Get set and ready for those tilts.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
Press that core. Squeeze those shoulders down and back as hard as you possibly can. The whole exposure thing is not very much fun. Good, good, good. Ladies, tight core. Again, remember that key. Get that pelvic floor really firm and then create that core contraction or smash that low back into the floor really hard. Press, compress, compress. And that compression should get firm all the way around to the sides. Okay, so if you need to, use your fingers. Push in. What I do is I push in my thumbs on the sides and then push in with the fingers on the stomach. Right? All of that should be tight.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Okay, tilt with knee fall out. A good thing to think about is if this doesn't affect your breathing, like if you have normal breathing, you're not doing it right.
2,
okay?
1.
It should change your breathing. It should be difficult to get a breath in because you're squeezing and holding that core tight, right? You should still be able to get little breaths, right? But it should be tight. Good, good, good. Squeeze that core nice and tight. Shoulders down and back.
That's halfway.
We're going to focus on through this one. Trying to keep those shoulders down while we compress that core. It's pretty easy to turn it into a crunch and pull those shoulders with it. But we want to stay in that tall postural position, but yet know how to keep our core nice and tight. Okay? Squeeze, burn, burn, burn.
Three, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Good. Tilt with adduction. So compress that core. Squeeze those knees. Nice and hard.
3,
Release the knees with just
2,
the core.
1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Good. Kegel. Compress. Squeeze those knees. If you want to add a little bit of tension to this, you can start pulling the knees gently towards the chest. Again, this one, it's don't even lift your feet off the ground. Right? They should not leave the ground, but just gently start pulling and see if you can keep that low back on the ground. If it arches
That's
up,
halfway.
you know the core is not strong enough or it's not tight enough to hold that kind of pull. Okay, but you should get to a point where your core can be tight enough that you can create that pull without your back arching at all. Okay, good compression. Good, ladies. And doing your best all the way through.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Awesome. Okay, tilt with knee toward chest.
Three, two, one. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay, squeeze nice and tight. Again, as you march your feet, the hips should not rotate back and forth. Okay? You should stay tight and compress that low back onto the floor nice and firm. Again, you shouldn't be squeezing your butt at all to make this happen. Right? This is all in the core. If you're squeezing your butt and pushing your foot down into the floor, you're trying to gain stability in your low back by using your butt. That doesn't work. Okay? Only time we're using our butt is on the next one. Okay, squeeze, tight, 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 tight. Again, force that core compression. Squeeze that pelvic floor really tight.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Good. Tilt and bridge.
Three, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay. Kegel, tilt, compress that core, then squeeze the butt cheeks really tight. As you go back down to the floor, your ribs, low back, and hips should all touch the floor at the same time. Arch up and then set back down, and your hips touch the ground first, but your low back doesn't. You know you kind of arched your back trying to lift, right? So maintain that core compression, squeeze the butt cheeks up, and then set back onto the ground. Okay, squeeze, tight, 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 holding firm all the way through, ladies. Your absolute best. Awesome. Again, compress, compress, compress. Nice and
3,
tight.
2, 1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Very good. Okay, get set for the shoulder drops.
3, 2,
Remember, first thing we do,
shoulder drop.
get those shoulders all the way down and back, right? So we don't want to be starting in this position where the shoulders are forward. We want to pull them all the way down and back out of our ears, then go up overhead. And as you return your arm, you pull your shoulder down and back out of that ear. Okay? You don't want that shoulder to stay hanging out underneath it. That means the trap is working. You want to pull shoulder down and back.
That's halfway.
And compress that core. Compress that core. Super easy to forget about the core, but you want to actually force that core to stay tight while those shoulders are trying to go through. Because again, we're rebuilding core stability as the foundation of every movement we could ever make. Whether it's stepping, pushing, pulling, reaching, your core should be able to stay tight. So that's why we do this kind of change or focus from the core into the
3,
shoulders.
2, 1. Prepare for dead bug.
Okay, get ready for dead bugs. Or you can do the bird dogs. I'll put that on display on this one. No matter what, keep that core super tight. We don't want a cat or a cow.
2,
Just
1.
keep that back nice and
Dead bug.
level or compressed through the core. Okay, that extension should not change the position of your spine. Your spine should be braced like a girdle, squeezing really tight. We just want to use that internal girdle. not an external. Right, Marcia? No external application. You want your muscles to do it. Good, ladies. Halfway through.
That's halfway.
Keep doing your best through. Compress, compress, compress. Nice and tight. Very good.
Three, two, one. Long rest.
I suppose C-sections at that time were a little different. Yep.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt.
All right, here we go. Last round, do your absolute best. Again, Kegel and compress. Main focus of today. Kegel, compress,
3,
hold that core
2,
really, really firm.
1.
Absolute
Pelvic
best.
tilt.
Squeeze tight. Pin that belt to the floor. Don't let that low back be arched at all. You're compressing down. If you would like, you can add in actually lifting your feet off the floor. The only way you actually lift your feet off the floor is if as you're pulling, your core does not change, right? If you start pulling your knees and your core starts to let go and you arch your back off
That's
the floor,
halfway.
don't lift your feet. Compress your core, lift as much as you can, keeping it tight and down on the floor. Then you'll get stronger through that and be able to create more of that movement, keeping that low back on the ground, okay? And again, that's just a challenge that we're trying to create. Just a challenge we're trying to create. Tight compression, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fallout.
Okay, tilt with fallout. Again, this is not about range of motion. We're not trying to touch the knee to the floor. We're trying to maintain the
3,
hips flat
2,
to the ground
1.
as it goes out.
Pelvic tilt with knee fallout.
And we can do the follow. Again, recompress. Tight, 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 tight. Squeeze as hard as you can. Again, you can recheck those shoulders. Make sure they're down. Everything we do here is working on postural position. What do we want to try to maintain through the day? We want to maintain slumped over crunched positions. We want to maintain tall positions, shoulders down,
That's
core
halfway.
tight, holding firm. Good, good, good. Awesome. Very good work. 15 seconds. Then re-squeeze that core. Make sure you're nice and tight through it. Compress, compress, compress.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with reduction.
Okay, tilt in the adduction. So grab a roller or a pillow, whatever you're using at home. Again, make sure you compress that core first. Squeeze the knees.
3,
the feet set
2,
to release the knees.
1. Pelvic tilt with reduction.
And then finally release the core. Okay, so core tight, squeeze those knees, lift the feet, set the feet down, release the knees, release the core. It should be that distinct. They kind of slur together from when your feet touch the floor to when your core releases. They all kind of go together. You're loosening up everything all at once. That's not what I want. I want good, firm control through the core while you create each one of those hip actions. So you're creating
That's
both
halfway.
a adduction, adding the knees together, and then you're also creating a flexion, right? So both of those should be able to be done without losing that core stability. And brace that spine, nice and tight. Firm squeeze all the way through, ladies. 10 seconds. Finish it off, doing your absolute best.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest. So this is that march, and don't let the hips Rubik's Cube. Keep that low back
3,
on the floor
2,
as hard as you can.
1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Good march. Re-squeeze that core. Tight, 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 tight. As those feet go, if you want to try to hover the opposite foot, right? Hover both feet. Lift one, back down, lift the other. Again, this is not a scissors kick where they're moving simultaneously, right? Hover, one up, down. If you need to set them down, that's fine. Go to re-hover, do the other side.
That's halfway.
Down, both feet down, okay? Whatever you need to do to make this work, but make sure it's challenging. You should force that core to work harder, harder, harder the whole way through. 20 seconds. Good, good, good. Almost there.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, we got three more to get through, then we're done for the day, okay? Make sure, again, compress that core first, then squeeze the butt cheeks as hard as you possibly can. Raise
3,
them up.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, Kegel, core compression, tight, tight, tight. Squeeze the butt cheeks together. When you set down, the low back should touch the ground with the ribs and the hips, all simultaneously, right? Think if I lift a piece of steel on one end, as soon as I start lifting the one end, all of it starts to leave the ground, right? Except the point that pivots on the ground. So the same thing holds true here. When we lift, the shoulders should be going straight into the ground, and that core
That's
should
halfway.
not change as we bend up, okay? Squeeze nice and tight. Very good. Awesome. Almost there, ladies. Good, good, good.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Awesome. Love it, ladies. Get ready for the shoulder drops. Again, check your shoulder position, right? Before we get going on anything
3,
else. So shoulders
2,
down and back,
1.
nice and tight.
Shoulder drop.
Press that core. Make sure those shoulders stay down. Then go up overhead and return. Again, taking the shoulder back down and out of the ear. Squeeze firm, firm, firm. As tight as you can. Compress, compress. Awesome.
That's
ladies.
halfway.
Again, reset the shoulders. And again, only go to acute range of motion, right? So if I have a restriction, that's fine. But just make sure you still return the shoulder down and back. You don't want to leave that kind of hanging out up in the ear. Okay? It's all about pulling that into position. Because tomorrow when we go into our upper body day, it's going to make a big difference when we do both our push and our pull. We want the
3,
shoulders to be able to stay
2,
down and back.
1. Prepare for dead bug.
Okay. Set up for the dead bug, or you can do the bird dog. Again, either one is fine. Make sure that core stays compressed and the back
3,
is nice and
2,
firm.
1. Dead bug.
Okay, we don't want that spine to arch at all. Good, tight, tight squeeze, firm compression, holding all the way through it. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Again, same thing with the shoulders as that last exercise. Get them down and back, out of the ears. Core tight, tight, tight. Remember, as you extend the legs, it shouldn't break your core or lift your back off the ground.
That's
That
halfway.
should stay compressed to the floor. Very good. Bird dogs, Marcia. I like it. Holding firm. Good. And with those bird dogs, it can help too to just do a little 3-4 second hold. See if you can stabilize in that position. Good. Tight squeeze.
3,
Nice.
2, 1. Long rest.
Very, very good, ladies. Can tell that we're a little busier today. We're maybe warming up. Got a lot of people in and out of the space, but I just say, I figure that's how you know we do things live around here. You're not getting crazy recordings. Maybe sometimes. Never know. Okay. Have an absolutely fantastic day, ladies. We're going to go back into the Shin Splints video. Remember, if you have really no pain issues right now, do this video anyway. Work through some of this tissue and see if you just have some sort of problem in that tissue. If you don't have a problem there, that's fine. But we might as well get preemptive as much as we can with a self-massage in order to create muscular release where we need it, even if we don't feel like it's there, right? Sometimes we push on an area and realize, wow, that really hurts, okay? So go ahead and run through this one, or if you need to, go back to your dashboard and find the video that you need most to work on. If you have maybe a headache today, find the headache video and work through that, okay? Have an absolutely wonderful day, ladies. We will see you again tomorrow for our upper body day. As always, I'm here to help you move well so you live well.
Typically, runners who experience shin splints have overused the stabilizing muscles of the ankle as well as the dorsiflexion of the foot. The space between the tibia and the fibula has a sheath wrapped around it called the periosteum. This sheath oftentimes is rubbed raw, creating inflammation and tension on the shin bone. The muscles lining the anterior portion of the shin is the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Sitting on a chair in a figure 4 position, locate the edge of the tibia near the thick muscle tissue. To find the tissue we're working on, push the fingers to the edge of the tibia and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work all the way from the top to the bottom of the shin. If your fingers have a hard time tolerating the pressure, you can utilize a lacrosse ball. Holding the lacrosse ball cupped in your hand, press into the muscle tissue directly beside the tibia, working your way all the way from the top of the tibia down towards the ankle. Remember to use strong pressure directly near the bone. Continue the same kind of work on the inside portion of the tibia. Here, you can use pressure from your palm pressing into the muscle tissue, while your other hand cups the ball, allowing you to create the up and down motion. Another way to work the anterior tibialis is by sitting sideways on a foam roller and leaning forward, putting pressure down into the foam roller. Obviously, this takes some balance and coordination in order to keep the pressure on the foam roller. In this position, flex the foot and relax, making sure you squeeze the anterior tibialis. Once complete with the foam roller, in the same position, utilize the lacrosse ball, creating a more pinpointed pressure on the muscle. Work your way up and down the muscle tissue right beside the shin.